Let's drink Hitler's blood!
Roll the dice!
Whenever the issue of time travel is raised, there's one thing that people always talk about. Would you go back in time and kill Hitler? What if you could go back in time and drink all of Hitler's blood? The year is 1943 and you play a team of crack vampire commandos with one mission. Drink all of Hitler's blood. Not some of his blood. Don't give him a paper cut and a little nibble. All of his blood. Every single last drop. You might need to bleep that bit. I got excited. But I am excited because I'm excited to unbox our game for today. Is it an unboxing if it's in an envelope? Are we unenveloping the game? About 8 months ago, I backed Eat The Reich on Kickstarter for the princely sum of 50 English pounds. That got me not only the core book, but this lovely, lovely envelope full of goodies. So I'm going to dive right in. I'm going to see what's in here and I'm going to give you my thoughts on whether this was money well spent or if I'm going to have a little cry after this video is made. I think the first thing to talk about is this envelope. It's in character. It's not just any old envelope. It's kind of an in-world artifact. It says here, the circulation of this document should be limited to those persons who are authorised to have the information in the performance of their duties. It says it's for eyes only. It's only for eyes. So don't lick it, chew it, or rub yourself against it, I suppose. I'm going to try and open this with my eye now. There we go. Done. Sorted. Let's have a look and see what's inside. Now, there's a load of stuff in here. There we go. We'll go for it that way. So I'm going to make sure I get everything. It's a never-ending festival of stuff, which is great. Yeah, so Eat The Reich is written by Grant Howitt and illustrated by Will Kirkby, who are probably, if you're really, really into indie RPGs, if you're into kind of smaller scale games, or things like Spire and Heart, which have been kind of breakout successes within the industry fairly recently. We actually interviewed Grant way back at the UK Games Expo in 2018. So have a check elsewhere on the channel. You'll be able to see that. We talk about some of his games that he had available back then. But we don't care about the past. We're going to have a look now at Eat The Reich. Let's dive in. First of all, this is really pretty. It's really nice. I really like the aesthetic. It's very neon. It's very bright and it's very over the top. And I think for a game where you play vampires that are dropped inside coffins into occupied Paris in order to drink all of Hitler's blood, I think over the top kind of suits it. You be the judge. The rulebook itself is 72 pages. It has these lovely pink edges to the paper. It's full colour within. Everything is done as if it was inside one of these envelopes. It was lots of it's sort of typed up. So we've got things like this where it looks kind of in world again, and I like that. It's just all extremely flavourful. The book itself, soft back, but it feels fairly sturdy. Sometimes I play my games too much and they start to fall apart, and that's very upsetting. But double-sided. I was going to say double-sided entry flaps. That's not what they're called. Double-sided book cover with some nice cool stuff in it as well. Really nice. Yeah, can't tell you about how the rules work. I know it's a D6 dice pool system. We can always come back to this at a later date once we've played it. It's not a campaign. This is not a campaign system. This isn't your typical RPG where you would take your players through multiple game sessions, or you could come back and play it again later. It's very focused. It's hyper focused on this one mission by your vampires into occupied Paris, again, to drink Hitler's blood. I'm enjoying saying drinking Hitler's blood, so I'm going to keep doing it. I did have some slight misgivings, just in the sense that I wasn't sure I'd get value for money out of it, because once I played it through with one gaming group, they can't really play it again. And once I've read the book and run it, I feel like it could be quite difficult to be a player within the game as well. Again, we'll come back to it, but as an artifact, as objects to have and to own, it's really, really nice. So far, at least, and that makes me feel good about my investment. I'm going to pop that over there for a second, because we've got here. This is a chunky boy, no mistake. This is the map pack and character sheets that were, I believe, kind of added to as you go. Because again, it's a focused thing. There are pre-generated characters. I believe there are 6 of them. And you've got your sheets for them here. We'll just spin it around randomly. So here we have Nicole, who's one of the vampires that you could play. And we've got here the character sheet, the equipment, blood, stats, abilities, all of that kind of stuff that you would expect. Nothing on the back. But this will sit in front of you, be quite nice, and you could probably reuse these, I would think. I think that would be fine. I feel like I've got quite a few of these in here. Let's have a look. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 character sheets, each of which has the stats on one side and these really quite cool kind of almost pin-up style illustrations. Lots of cigarettes, lots of tattoos. If you're into that kind of thing, I think it evokes the era quite nicely. Back when we thought cigarettes were good for you and would give you enough breath in your lungs to fight the Nazi war machine. We also get some maps. So I don't know if this is going to be too spoilerful, but we've got a map there of Paris. The Kickstarter described it as non-accurate maps of Paris, which I quite enjoyed. And then you've got a blank map here. I don't know if you're going to build your own Paris or whether characters would use this maybe to discover Paris as they went along and they could add on to it themselves. Who knows? We've got 1 set of those, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, another set of those. So that's 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 sets of those, and then another set there. So that's 4 of those. So you could scribble all over these, maybe even keep them as artifacts of your game and still have enough stuff in order to play the game again, probably with a different gaming group, or with some modifications, maybe change some things up. Who knows? So we've got some bits there. So that's good. That's when they said character pack, character sheet pack and maps. I think that's fairly exceeded my expectations to have 4 sets. And they're all full colour. And they all look like they're in universe, especially the maps that note at the top, kill Hitler, just in case you forget that you're going to kill Hitler. So then there's also some ephemera, some extra bits and pieces that came, some of them as Kickstarter goals, stretch goals, some of them as other bits and pieces as well. So I've got an envelope with a kiss from your beloved as you go off to the front lines. And then inside, let's have a look. We've got, so we've got a series of postcards, one for each of the characters. So we've got the different characters here. Rather than their names, they've got a description of them. I have had a look online and at PDFs just very briefly. So you've got one character who's described as very ravenous. They're kind of the most animalistic of the vampires you can choose. You've got an apex predator. You've got the dark and glamorous vampire. You've got one that appears to like blowing shit up. You've got some kind of decadent vampire there. And you've also got the corpse eater. So they're kind of ticking the boxes of different types of vampires, different tropes, which is quite cool. I like that. I like stuff like this. I wouldn't send it as a postcard. I don't really think you're not really going to scribble a message on the back. But what I do like, just having flicked through, they've kind of picked a limited colour scheme. So there's kind of this contrast between these dark blues and dark blacks, and then you've got these kind of bright neon sort of enhancements, especially for blood. Again, looking at this, You've got the bright pink, but you've also got that as the blood spatter, which I believe is followed all the way through and kind of gives it a cartoony feel. Not a cartoon for little kids, but a more kind of cartoony feel to it, which is, I think, from what it's saying, it wants to be over the top, it wants to be in your face. So I feel, again, that's quite fitting. I quite like that. Yeah. We might have a quick look in here. We'll come back to that. We'll have a deeper dive into that at some point. Also got a fang patch. It says in here, "We eat filth." Got a bookmark. Again, I think there were some various different versions of this. No, I think I'm lying. But I quite like this. Our Lady of Perpetual Ruin. I like that. It's quite cool. It's quite nice. And as someone who once counted up and was partway through 16 different books at once, I always need a bookmark. So that's quite nice. And it can probably live inside the book like that. There we go. And then the last thing that we got here is a coin, a special coin. It's a Fang coin. Fang being the organisation that you work for, which stands for Filthy Anti-Nazi Ghouls. It doesn't stand for that. I have no idea what it stands for. But this is really pretty. It's really heavy. I don't want to damage it. It doesn't feel like it would damage easily. I don't want to break the box either. It's a heavy boy. Chonky. So this is really, really nice as well. I quite like this. Loose lips, steak hearts. Yeah, it's quite good. Feels like it's printed well. I don't think it's going to chip too badly. There we go. So we've got a side there. And then we've also got, make sure I get it the right way up. We've also got that side there. And I personally, I love stuff like this. It will sit quite happily in with that, and I'll take it out and just look at it and enjoy the feeling of having it. I don't know if it's got any use in game. I don't think so, but I'm sure you could find a use for it in all sorts of different things. So yeah, that's what's inside the envelope. It barely fits, which is good. There's a nice chunk there. So on initial look, I'm feeling quite happy about this, just in terms of what I've got for my money. I think this was the biggest surprise. The character sheet and map pack, just because there were so many copies of them, which is great because, as I said, this is a hyper-focused game, so having all of that stuff there is really, really good, and it would feel evocative at the table. Everyone can be there with their character, with their vampire in front of them, rather than just something that you've photocopied out the back of a book, or, as I've been using from Orkborg recently, a notepad I got from work with just some numbers written on it. Having a look through then, in here, as I said, you've got these nice folding covers. Feels nice. Oh, it's all bumpy. It's bumpy. I like bumpy. Bumpy is good. So the blood is shiny, and then there's other bumpy bits on there as well. Having a look in here then. The year is 1943. Europe is in flames. You are a unit of crack vampire commandos with a single objective. Drink all of Adolf Hitler's blood and fatally destabilise the Nazi war machine. So, having a look in here. It's got that bit where they always have to tell you what a roleplay game is. Everybody does that, don't they? That's weird. You wouldn't buy a DVD and at the beginning it would go, "This is a film. A film is a tale told between 60 and 4,000 minutes if you're that director who made that really long film." My brain's gone dead. Welcome, playing safe. That's interesting. Let's have a quick look at playing safe. Everyone at the table is responsible for everyone else's safety. So yeah, so that's quite. That didn't exist back in my day. He says it's still being his day. So we've got some safety stuff in there, which I quite like. The underlying ethical stance of this game. Now, I've not seen this before. That's interesting. This game is not in and of itself an act of resistance. It is an act of creativity which reflects our frustrations with the real world's ongoing Nazi problem. For some players, telling a story of fictional and over-the-top combat against some of history's worst people feels fun and cathartic. For others, reenacting a fight against literal World War II Nazis feels depressing or distasteful, or pretending to be a monster feels raw and upsetting. Eat the Reich isn't for everyone, and there's no shame in not wanting to take part. I hadn't thought of this. The idea of being a monster, a vampire, and fighting Nazis, human monsters, monstrous humans, that's quite clever. It's quite clever. Thank you, English literature degree. Choosing character, getting things done, mission structure, running the game, the map, sector 321, evil calibration checklist. Ooh, might have a look at that. It looks like the actual rules of the game appear to be... is this still characters? Ooh, that's cool. Apropos of nothing, look at that. I think that's the coffin that you are dropped into Paris in, which is quite cool. I like that. Yeah, so the actual rules, you've got the characters, which take up a large chunk. You've got getting things done, page 28, all the way up to page 40 is the rules. Then you've got the mission briefing and then running the game. Yeah, so the actual rules look to be about a dozen pages or so. So a D6 pool system in here, which is quite nice. Normally quite simple. GM builds the threat pool. If you don't play the game nicely, he'll drown you in it. Might not be that kind of pool. Allocate your dice. Yeah, I mean, it looks fairly simple. I'm just trying to see if I can spot. Your equipment and abilities have bonus requirements. Roll extra dice. Yeah, so you get extra dice for equipment, circumstances, skills, etc. Oh dear. Okay, so the stats. I'm going to read a little bit of this just because it's made me laugh. Every action a player character makes is governed by one of the 7 statistics or stats listed below. Brawl is used to kill Nazis up close. Con is to sway Nazis with lies, flattery, or charisma. Fix, repair or modify devices and structures. Search, investigate to uncover information. Shoot, kill Nazis at a distance. Sneak, avoid detection. And terrify, scare Nazis into compliance. I like that. This is one of the advantages of having a game that's focused on a single kind of situation or scenario. They can really go to town on the flavour text. And it's making me want to actually just sit and read through it. Because I feel like I'm going to enjoy it. Ooh, accents! If you want to do accents for different nationalities, that's up to you. In play, generally we don't. Mainly because, as non-natives, we struggle to come up with a different German accent for every Nazi. So they all just sound like the same guy. And also because accents are one of the things that can be actively harmful if you're not on point. I won't try an accent for this. If you do want ways to differentiate... That went Russian. If you want ways to differentiate your characters vocally, the accent style popularised by the death of Stalin and Chernobyl can be a solid choice. Transpose familiar accents from your country onto another country and go from there. But if your Bavarian lilt is as reliable as your Stuttgart twang and you can always pivot with ease into a Dusseldorf brogue, then by all means go for it. I can do several different accents, none of which I'm going to do now because they're all terrible. Apart from my Dutch accent is quite good. Maybe the vampires can be Dutch. What does Hitler's blood taste like? Not going to spoil that for everyone. So yeah, so that's nice. So it looks to be fairly rules-light if the whole rules can be explained in kind of dice pools in 12 pages. And I'm hoping it would run fairly quickly. You'd be able to... grab character sheets, no character creation, and just smash straight into the game. It's got a nice direct premise, and it's just, I think it's beautiful. You decide for yourselves, but I just think this is really, really pretty. It looks really, really nice. It's got that really striking colour palette. I'm getting quite into my kind of neon pink synthwave phase. That's hard to say. Yeah, I really like this. It feels modern, but it's got those kind of retro bits and pieces going on in there, and some of the actual illustrations themselves. So that's it. That's my thoughts. I don't feel ripped off for 50 quid. I don't know how much it is now if you were to go online and buy it. We can do this. Put on some holding music. I've just had a suggestion from the silent yet ever reliable Critical Jamie that you could use the postcards to actually post to your players to invite them to the first game, which I think is really, really cool. I hadn't considered that. When I get nice things, I just keep them and hold them close and don't share them with others. Just clutch them tightly to my chest. But that's a really cool idea. I like that. So having a look on the website, we've got £25 for this, which in an era where I think like a Dungeons and Dragons monster manual is putting you back like £45 is actually quite good. Half of that for the PDF. I mean, you tell me, like, would you pay 50 quid for the shiny coin of death that's so heavy it just tried to escape again? Yeah, would you pay for the coin, the core book, the character sheets, the patch? I mean, 50 quid for a game book isn't unheard of these days. So, not going to do that. So yeah, so it would come out as being £50. I think for the quality that I've got here, that I can feel, this feels hard wearing, everything being lovely in full colour, the extra little bits and pieces, I'm not too fussed by the patch, to be honest. It's a thing I own. But if you like that kind of thing, if you're, I don't know, really into old school metal and you want to fill your battle vest with them, go ahead, knock yourself out. But for me, I'm happy with this. Sometimes you get a Kickstarter and you're disappointed by the quality of what you get. Looking at you, Dark Souls the board game. I think the real test will come down, obviously, to how it plays. So we may check in later. I'd like to do a spoiler-free review because of the nature of the game. I don't want to give away any of like the plot stuff or any of maybe the mechanics that might come in later on during a play session. So if you're interested in us playing it, we could even record the play for our actual play podcast channel, Roll in the Dark. If you're in, obviously that will be full of spoilers, but if you're interested in those, let me know down in the comments and we'll get working on that. But in terms of quality of product, the production values are really, really high. And I'm quite happy with what I've got. And I'm excited to get it on the tabletop. Thank you so much for watching this video. We really, really appreciate it. We haven't actually been able to work on the channel for several years now due to personal circumstances. And so we're just in the process of relaunching, of kicking things off again. So if you aren't subscribed to us and you enjoyed this, please click the subscribe button. That would really, really help us out. And if you are subscribed or you did enjoy this, but you don't want to make a commitment can be hard. If you click the like button, that would really, really help us out. And keep your eyes peeled. We've got loads and loads of new stuff coming for you, including a whole new podcast channel dedicated to actual play podcasts. We've got the Critical Twits podcast that's coming back stronger than ever. And we've got more videos, we've got more unboxings, we've got some interviews with some of the leading lights of the tabletop RPG industry. And it would be really, 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 really great to see you guys again. Thank you very much. I'm out.